Hi everyone, this is Asim here, and as I promised earlier that I would be working on question number 6 to help you guys to follow the steps to complete your assessment questions. So here I am now with the question number 6. Right. If you can see on the screen, question number 6 having two parts. The first part is create a line chart showing the insurance cost for car owners in each day over the past 12 months. So you have to interpret the results considering any external factors that may explain differences. Okay, this question has got this part of the question has got multiple things to do, but just for your knowledge purposes, you can see in the data set that you probably do not see the 12 months. Like there is no time frame for the citizen here. So unfortunately, as the data analyst, you have to identify this and then find a specific different way to actually help the auto company to ensure that how you can actually convey this message to them. So unfortunately, we do not have the timeline for this question, so you have to find a different way, as I mentioned earlier. So, but just in case we are going to solve this in any way, what I think could be one of the ways, there could be multiple different ways to do this question, but I'll leave it with you guys to decide how you want to solve this. But just for your knowledge purposes, I am just creating a kind of a line chart on the basis of what I think could be one of the solutions, as I mentioned earlier. So that is the question number 1. But before we start working on part 1 of the question 6, the second part is how does environmental impact score vary by city? Is there any significant pattern that reflects the city sustainability efforts? So these two parts of question 6 are very important, and I'm going to do one at a time. Right. So if you look into the first part of the question is now, this is your data set, and in the data set we are looking for three different columns. For instance, we will be looking whether we have the city, do we have the insurance cost as well. So I'm just going to highlight that insurance cost as well, and then we have the ownership status, because these are the three columns which we will be working on. Okay, so what we're going to do is the first thing, I'm going to apply the filter on the first row on all columns, and then you click onto that one, then you apply a filter, and then the first thing you're going to do is, but because I have changed the data, so your answer would be different, so expect different answer, but you are responsible to ensure that you're following the steps, and then if you're following the steps, your answer should be accurate. So ownership status, you click onto that one, and then you see financed, leased, and owned, and then you click onto that one, and then you click onto the last option, which is the owned, and then you press OK. You still see that this data is only for those people, those customer who owns the car. Okay, then the next thing is that you have to click onto that one and click anywhere on the data, and then you go into the insert pivot table, and then you click on that one and press OK. Once you have done that one, you see a new pivot table window has appeared now. So let's see, this is the one, and I'm going to give a name to this question 6 part 1. Here we go. And then here, what we'll be looking into is that we need to have city insurance cost and ownership status. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have um, insurance cost city. City come into the rows, and then you have to have the insurance cost into the values. Once you have the insurance cost into the values, you right click here, value settings, go to average, press OK, and then if you remember in the data set we actually click onto the ownership status, and we turn that into owned ones only. So you go back into ownership status. But here, this is the climax of this question. In this in this section, when you click on ownership status, do not drop that into rows or values. Rather, you should be putting into the filters here. When you click that into the filters, a new window appears at the top, and then you can click onto that one in here, and you can see all the options appeared. You click on owned and then press OK, and then you see this options is there now. Okay. Once you have that one there, you can actually create, you get back into your insert, and then you have to have the line chart, and then you click onto this one. Here you can see different cities and different averages of insurance cost on the basis of the owned ones. Those who own the cars, you click onto that one, and then you got the access titles. You can have data labels if you want to have them, and then you have a trend line as well. So it's entirely your choice if you want to have that one. So this is the graph. Your graph might appear slightly different to mine one, but remember that if you follow the same steps, you will be fine in creating the right answer for your questions. So this is your question 6 part 1, and now we are heading to question 6 part 2. If you go back into the detail in here, here we go. We have, how does environmental impact vary by city? Is there any significant pattern that reflects the city's sustainability efforts? Okay, so what we're going to do in this case now is that if you would have read uh, the questions in here, so you go back into, we're going to create a new table, new worksheet here. So that one. So we are going to have this question 6 and part 2, right? Sorry, not here. It should be here. Question 2, sorry, question 6, part 2. Here we go. And then you can actually drag and drop to the next one in here, right? In this section, what we are going to do now is we are going to have, again, actually, we should have created another pivot table here. So in that case, the new pivot table, we could have given the new name to the sheet. So let's go with that one again. You click onto this one and then insert pivot tables. And here we go. First sheet, press OK. And then, sorry, this is, I'm deleting that one because it's no longer required. And actually, this pivot table sheet is actually our requirement. So we have question 6, part 2. Here we go. Brilliant. And in this one, what we are going to do now is we need to have city and environmental scores. So in terms of the city, I'm going to have that into the rows, and then environmental impact column is here somewhere. Here we go. And then that is going into the values here. Once you have that one values in here, you can actually right click onto this option and then value field, and then you can convert that into an average. Once you have got that as an average, then what you need to do is you can actually go into your insert. You got recommended chart. Well, you can go to recommended chart, or you can go to the pivot chart, click onto that one, and here we go. So this is one of the graphs which you can create for your second question, sorry, question 6 part 2. And it would need an explanation, as like I have mentioned previously, that you can actually insert, you get into the text data, and then you can actually write your explanation here. Guys, remember that each and every single question of your assignment requires an explanation. An explanation need to be based on an evidence. If the explanation is vague, you will lose your marks. If your graph is not accurate, you will lose your marks. You will be awarded marks for the effort you have put in, but remember, the accuracy and precision is very, very important when you submit your data analytics assignment. Okay, so this is your question 6 part 2, and I hope you have enjoyed all the videos which I have created for all of you, and this is just for your benefit. If you have any questions, please bring those to me or another tutor during the seminar. And I would just wanted to wish you all the very best for your assignment submission. Okay, take care of yourself. Bye.